I never thought I'd see the day when the president of a neighborhood HOA showed up at my gate with 2 police officers acting like I was some criminal for refusing to sign her paperwork. But that's exactly what happened. And in that moment, as their hands hovered near their belts and Karen's smug little smirk stretched across her face, I realized this was no longer some neighborly spat. This was war, and she had no idea I was about to turn her world upside down. My name is Michael Harris. I'm 35, I run a small software company, and a few months ago I inherited my grandfather's lakeside ranch. My grandfather, Samuel Harris, was a tough, shrewd man who built that place with his own hands. For me, it was supposed to be a quiet retreat, a place to escape deadlines, conference calls, and the constant grind. But the peace didn't last long, not once Karen Miller entered the picture. Karen, if you haven't met her type, is the kind of person who walks into a room and immediately acts like she owns it. 50 years old, blonde curls lacquered in place, always in some pastel blazer like she was running for office in a suburb no one cared about. She showed up at my door one Saturday with this fake bright smile holding a clipboard like it was a crown. "Hello, I'm Karen, the president of the HOA," she announced as if that title meant she ruled the entire lakeside. She tried selling me on the exclusive privileges of joining her lake association. Discounts at local stores. Private amenities, the prestige of being part of an elite community. She actually said that word elite. I almost laughed in her face. My land had been in my family for generations. I didn't need her or anyone else telling me how to take care of it. So I told her flat out I'm not interested. Her smile tightened. Her eyes flickered, and that's when the mask slipped. "Some people don't like to follow rules," she said sweetly, "but if you refuse, we'll have to enforce our regulations. And I don't think you want to cause any issues with the community." A threat wrapped in sugar. I shut the door in her face, but the unease stuck with me. I didn't have to wait long to see what she meant. A few days later, I opened my mailbox to find an official-looking envelope with HOA letterhead. Inside was a list of supposed violations, improper property boundaries, unauthorized construction, and in bold letters, non-compliance with HOA membership, as if that were even a law. At first, I laughed, but underneath a knot twisted in my stomach. It was clear Karen was making her opening move. She wasn't just inviting me, she was trying to corner me. I called my friend Robert, a lawyer who specialized in property rights. "She's bluffing," Robert told me, "and if she pushes, we'll push back harder." His confidence gave me some comfort, but deep down, I knew Karen wasn't done. 2 days later, another letter arrived, nastier this time. Threats of foreclosure, fines, stacking up accusations that my barn and the cabin by the lake violated zoning laws. I had permits for everything. Still, my hands shook as I held the paper. For the first time, I wondered, what if I was fighting a battle I couldn't win? Should I just pay the fee? Sign the paper, make her go away? That night, I sat alone on the porch, staring at the lake, wondering if I'd made a mistake. But then, I remembered my grandfather. Samuel Harris didn't work his whole life just for his land to fall into the hands of some petty dictator. I dug through his papers, through the file cabinet he left me, and there it was, a clause in his will. No HOA, no outside entity, no one could seize control of the land or its structures without written consent from me. My doubt turned to resolve. Karen thought she could scare me. She had no idea she'd just stepped into a trap. So when she came back this time dragging 2 uniformed cops with her, I was ready. I walked out calmly, documents in hand, heart pounding. "Can I help you?" I asked. Karen crossed her arms. "These officers are here to enforce HOA rules. You're in violation." Her voice dripped with triumph like she'd finally beaten me. I handed the papers to the officers. "Actually, no. This land is protected by my grandfather's will. The HOA has no jurisdiction here." They read the documents carefully. One officer looked up at Karen, then shook his head. "Ma'am, we're going to need to verify this, but for now, it looks like you don't have authority here." Karen's face turned red. Her jaw clenched, but she couldn't stop them. For once, her power slipped. I turned and walked back toward my house, tossing over my shoulder. "If you want to keep this up, you'll need more than threats." For a moment, I thought maybe that would shut her down. But Karen wasn't just stubborn, she was relentless. A week later, a new letter arrived, this one from a corporate attorney. They weren't asking for compliance anymore. They were suing me for $500,000, claiming I'd damaged the integrity of the community. I felt my chest tighten as I read the figure, $500,000. It wasn't about control anymore. She wanted to ruin me. That was the lowest point. I sat in my office, head in my hands, wondering if I should just cut my losses. Maybe sell the property, walk away, leave her and her elite neighbors to rot. For hours, I doubted myself. Was I being stubborn? Was I risking everything for pride? But then I remembered the neighbors I'd seen at meetings, the ones Karen talked down to, silenced, bullied. I wasn't just fighting for me. I was fighting for all of us who had been stepped on by her fake authority. That thought pulled me out of the dark. I wasn't giving in. Not to her. Not ever. I knocked on doors. I called numbers. I told the other homeowners what Karen had been doing. The response shocked me. People had no idea she'd been threatening foreclosure fabricating violations using the HOA as her personal weapon. One by one, they promised support. By the time the next HOA meeting rolled around, the room was packed. Karen sat at the head of the table trying to look composed, but her eyes darted nervously as I walked in with Robert at my side and half the neighborhood behind me. I stood, folder in hand, and laid it all out: her false fines, her illegal threats, the protective clauses in my grandfather's will. I've been accused of violating HOA rules. I said, my voice steady, but the truth is the HOA has been violating me, using power to intimidate, harass, and control. The room went silent, then murmurs spread, heads nodded, eyes turned against Karen. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Robert followed, announcing we'd be filing a harassment suit against the HOA itself. That was the turning point. Karen's confidence cracked. She wasn't untouchable anymore, and she knew it. But she still had one desperate card to play. Days before the court hearing, I received another notice. Karen was contesting my grandfather's will, claiming it was invalid, that I wasn't the rightful heir. That one hit deeper than any fine or lawsuit. This wasn't just about land anymore. It was about my family, my legacy. She was trying to erase me. I gathered every scrap of evidence, every witness who'd been there when my grandfather signed the will. Robert built the case piece by piece, ironclad. And when the day came, I stood in court staring at Karen across the aisle. She looked smaller than I'd ever seen her, but her eyes still burned with that desperate hunger for control. Her lawyer rambled about technicalities, tried twisting words, but it was empty. When Robert presented the original documents, the testimonies, the zoning permits, the judge barely had to think. Ms. Miller, your claims have no merit. The will is legitimate. Case dismissed. The gavel fell. Just like that, it was over. I turned and looked at Karen. She was pale, trembling, her lips pressed tight as if holding back a scream. For once, she had nothing left to say. The HOA was dismantled. Her influence shattered, her reputation destroyed in front of the very neighbors she had lorded over. I walked out of that courtroom feeling lighter than I had in months. Not because I'd won some trophy, but because justice had finally caught up to her. She couldn't bully me. She couldn't bully anyone anymore. And if there's one thing I learned through it all, it's this: when you stand your ground against people who thrive on control, you find out just how quickly their power crumbles.